Okay, let's dive right in. If you're a creator on YouTube, you have definitely felt the ground shifting under your feet. The internet of 2026 is playing by a totally new set of rules, and YouTube is leading the charge. So today, we're going to break down a framework for this new world, not just to stay afloat, but to build a real, lasting authority on the platform.
You know, the biggest problem we're all facing right now is just noise. The internet is absolutely saturated with this perfectly polished AI-generated content that looks amazing, sounds super credible, but a lot of the time it's just hollow. It's this endless sea of general advice which makes it harder than ever for real, genuine expertise to cut through. And that's the very problem the 2026 algorithm is trying to solve.
And this leads us to a pretty stark new reality, which is summed up by this one idea. In 2026, generalists are invisible. What does that mean? It means if your content is trying to talk to everybody, it's going to end up being heard by nobody. The age of casting a wide net is over. The era of hyper-specific authority is officially here.
All right, so what are these new rules exactly? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how the platform has fundamentally changed what it cares about. Because understanding this shift, well, that's the first step to building a strategy that actually works.
The shift is actually both really simple and incredibly profound. For years, the name of the game was watch time, pure and simple. But the algorithm has gotten so much smarter. It's no longer just about if people are watching, it's about how they feel after they're done. The new king of the platform is viewer satisfaction. So what in the world is viewer satisfaction, or VSAT? It's basically an umbrella term for all the little signals that tell YouTube, hey, this content actually delivered on its promise. Think about it. Does a viewer come back to your channel again and again? Do they actually fill out those little post-watch surveys positively? These are the new gold standard for quality content.
And here's the second major shift, and trust me, this one is huge. We are moving into what's being called the living room economy. For long-form content, connected TVs, people watching on their actual televisions, are now officially beating mobile viewership. This means people aren't just scrolling to kill time anymore. They're making a choice to settle in for a premium viewing experience. Your content has to be good enough for the big screen.
Okay, so we know the new rules. The question is, how do we win? Well, it all starts with our first pillar. You've got to build a defensive wall around your expertise. We call this the micro-niche moat, and it is your #1 defense against that flood of generic, soulless AI content. Let's make this really tangible. Imagine you start out in a massive, broad market like business advice. In 2026, trying to compete here is like shouting into a hurricane. It's just too crowded, too noisy, and it's basically impossible to be seen as a true authority. So what do? You get a little more specific. You narrow it down from that huge market to a more specific topic, like, say, YouTube growth strategies. Now, this is definitely better, for sure. You're starting to talk to a much more defined audience, but it's still an incredibly competitive space. And this is where we build the moat. We get hyper-specific. You're no longer just talking about YouTube growth. Now you're providing AI-proof strategies for brand strategists on connected TV. You see how specific that is? That level of focus is your defense. It's a super valuable, underserved niche that screams to the algorithm exactly who your content is for, and it perfectly matches your expertise with viewers who are actively looking for it. All right, on to our second pillar. Once you have your moat, you need a smart way to bring the right people into it. And that's where the hybrid system comes in. It's a two-part strategy that lets you capture broad attention and then build that deep, satisfying authority. Here's how it works, and it's pretty slick. You use YouTube Shorts as your trailers. They're designed for discovery, for delivering these quick 60-second aha moments. But they have one primary job: to act as a funnel, driving interested people to your long-form content. And that's where the real magic happens. Your long-form videos aren't just videos anymore. They are deep dive masterclasses. And it is so crucial to treat that long-form content with absolute respect for your viewers' time. This means you need to start thinking of your channel like a searchable library. Use chapters, use timestamps, let a viewer jump directly to the answer they're looking for. This sends viewer satisfaction through the roof because you're not wasting their time. You're delivering value with maximum efficiency.
This brings us to the third and final pillar. And honestly, this one might just be the most important of all. In a world that's practically drowning in AI content, your greatest, most powerful advantage is simply your humanity. We call this authenticity arbitrage. So what is authenticity arbitrage? It sounds a little complex, but it's really the strategic value you gain by just being unapologetically human. See, while AI can generate a flawless script, it can't replicate real-world experience. It can't show its scars. Sharing your raw, human-tested data and your messy processes, that becomes the new currency of trust. It's something AI just can't fake. So how do you actually put this into practice? Well, here's a simple little checklist for you. Think of AI as your prep cook. It can chop the vegetables, do the research, but you have to be the chef that creates the final meal. Show your raw failures, your fail-forward reports. Share data that was tested by actual people. And maybe most importantly, reveal the messy human logic that happens behind the scenes. That's your proof of human. Okay, so let's tie these three pillars together. They don't just exist on their own. They combine to create this powerful, self-sustaining system that we call the community intelligence loop. This is what really turns a channel into an unstoppable authority engine. And the loop itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. First, you listen. You actually use the community tab to poll your subscribers and ask them, what are you struggling with right now? Second, you build. You take that direct feedback and you create a deep dive masterclass that solves that exact problem. And third, you engage. You keep the conversation going in the comments, which feeds the next loop. When you do this, you completely transform the relationship with your audience. Your subscribers are no longer just passive viewers. They become your active advisors, your collaborators. Heck, they're basically shareholders in your content roadmap. Their feedback literally fuels your next video, which all but guarantees high viewer satisfaction because you are building exactly what they asked for. It's a perfect engine. So, as we wrap this up, the framework is pretty clear. Find your micro-niche, build that hybrid system to serve it, and then power the whole thing with authentic, community-driven intelligence. The real question this new era asks every single creator is this: are you just building a channel for today's algorithm, or are you building a legacy that will actually last?